Okay, now in the following disclosure, I'm going to prove scientifically that we're all Tinkerbell. Okay, now let's go. And yeah, after I prove that, then simply making approximations to explanations. Yeah, approximations of explanations. Yeah, it might be more tactful. Yeah, just a couple later. Okay, now here is the proof that we are all Tinkerbell. Yeah, that the Tinkerbell in Disney's Peter Pan. And now you're not allowed to take pictures or look at anybody because your body is now copyright Disney. And I have to make a legal case against that. That might make sense anyway. Seriously. Anyway, please define Homo sapien. Yes, please define Homo sapien. Okay, so you might say you're in a problem here because, don't talk to me about no genome. Yeah, because no one's willing to show their work. Why? That's what BS. See, how species reckon? How does a person know that they're looking at a species? See, now you have a problem here because all of a sudden you need sex. Yeah, to define whether or not two things are what? Well, see, now you have a problem here. Why are you wanting to differentiate species? Why are you using reproduction as the basis for categorization? Is there a better categorization between like and unlike animals? You have a problem there because you cannot prove that if a cheetah and hyena mate, that the offspring is not quote unquote viable unless you're selling skins. Which is probably a more viable definition of viable. Of course, that's not science. That's skin trading. That's illegal. In case you didn't know. Probably for that reason. Define viable. They try to use a definition of can reproduce in turn, but at this point, there is no proof. Why? Because the entire categorization method of basically attempting to find animals having sex simply for the purpose of delineating species, of course, points to a different type of scientific endeavor, which is probably not very scientific. The truth is, if you define the lineage of species using sexability, the only way you can do that is by having this big library of animals having sex. Seriously, it's the only way you can actually demonstrate that. That's going to be the way to define those. A better way to define species is using visual traits. Of course, this was sensible, biologists and botanists and people want to recognize anything. Except maybe, the ChatGPT team that doesn't understand any of this. But sensible people who are seeking to identify things, of course, use images. The better way to classify animals is, of course, with a library of pictures of animals, which basically companies such as Time have been trying to do since near the beginning of ever since Time was published. Of course, it's easy to amass a collection of these images. As I've heard, you probably download one for a few $1,000s. Probably. Yeah, all neatly labeled where you already did that. Because the truth is that this more sensible categorization of species using physical features is, of course, is the way that they actually do species identification. Because, people actually want to work with species. I want to do so in a way that makes sense. Now, if we're going to categorize something, you have to deal with the skill of categorization. You run into a problem when some of the top scientists in, say, quantum physics say things that make absolutely no sense. You run into a larger problem because someone actually studied the integrations in some types of quantum physics, and for some reason, their integrations of formulas found in a video game about flower fairies. Seriously. It turns out that the integrated formulas that are shown in a lot of tables in these so-called shapes produced from various things in quantum physics, they show those formulas. What are those formulas? Those formulas are the result of attempting a mathematical operation from calculus called integration. The problem is those are solutions to integrations from a mysterious game that basically draws things out of spheres. The problem is it looks like they copy a lot of the source math directly. Of course, it has nothing to do with anything with physics. There's nothing in that game which has anything to do with physics. It's a video game. Now, it does have the attribute of being cute, which is what quantum physics is. The problem is they try to say that this stuff is real. Here's an example of something that quantum physicists try to say. It's a classical argument. Basically, they try to say that the exact position of an atom and electron is definable by this cloud. No problem here. They stop there because they don't understand their own explanation, so I'm going to finish it for them. See, this cloud has a property of being more probable to reality in the center and being less probable to reality at a distance, to where the probability that the electron will be far away from the cloud is so low because in that case a chemical reaction is taking place. So I'm going to stop there because I know that whole thing is fiction. You have a problem there, and that scientists are basically here thing. Now they show the formula for that. It turns out that's not the formula for it, because the actual formula for the probability that an electron will be at X distance from the center, of course, there's a standard probability formula using distance as one of the arguments. Those formulas they show, those integrations, are not formulas from probability. Which is basically to say that basically all of quantum physics is full of it. But they say that's truth. So let's assume that that actually is truth, where mathematics changes at the quantum level. Basically, addition is no longer addition. Addition is replaced by calculus at the quantum level. Wow. Let's assume that's reality. Let's actually assume that's reality. Then when you get small enough, addition no longer makes sense because it's now calculus. What this would mean is that when you perform an addition operation, if you're small enough, you're actually performing calculus. What would this mean? Let me give you an example of calculus. Okay, here's an example. I will simply say, it's valid to say that the calculus of x squared is 2x. So this means that if I'm performing x squared, let's say x is 8. So if I perform x squared on an area the size of Los Angeles, I get a value, near 64, because it varies with size. And the same x squared in downtown Los Angeles is 16. Now we have a situation. What does that do, for example, to an airline schedule? What this means is that airplanes when they're in the air and they're observed from the ground are huge. Basically what this means is that if you're looking at an airplane, you're looking at something the size of a planet, which means that, seriously, which means that basically defining reality this way. Yeah, they didn't realize this was what they were doing. They're defining reality this way. They're saying that the airplane is the size of a planet if you're looking at it from the ground. However, the action of being on the same plane allows the airplane to be normal. This means that air traffic controllers are in trouble because now it's not possible to communicate with a plane in a way that's legal. So now you have to tell the plane, literally, because they're going to tell the truth, the air traffic controller must say that Los Angeles is 10 million miles away. And now we have a problem there. Yeah, that's a recipe for a disaster with the FAA. Now we might have an actual motive. Because if this is simply an argument to try to avoid having to get on a plane. Because remember, science must stay in reality. Ain't going to enter the, flower princess world. That's not science. Anyway, the previous, if you accept that science, we're all Tinkerbell. Why? We have no idea what size we are.